Well, sadly, what we see in relation to terrorism, and this has been an absolutely horrendous incident in Kenya, and our thoughts and prayers must go out to all those who have lost loved ones in this incident. But what we see is the threat from terrorism has become more diverse over time. We see new parts of the world where we now have to look at North and West Africa as well as other parts of Africa. Obviously for some time now Somalia has been an area of concern, but we have to look more widely now because the threat is becoming more diverse. So that makes it more challenging. And of course what we also have to look at, as you say, is the issue of what is happening in the United Kingdom, of those people who in the UK want to become terrorists, are perhaps travelling abroad in order to train to become terrorists. These are all issues that we're dealing with, that our security service and police are dealing with on a day-to-day basis.
If it does turn out that there were Britons involved in this attack, that's very worrying internationally for our reputation about dealing with homegrown terrorists, isn't it?
Well, of course, it's worrying in a number of ways if there are any British individuals involved in this. Obviously, we can't say that at this stage. We have to wait to see the full analysis that comes through. But we will continue to work, not just as the UK, but working with governments around the world to combat the terrible threat that terrorism poses. We have a very simple message: the terrorists will not win.
Theresa May's visit to Camp Bastion focused on how Britain can assist Afghan authorities in dealing with terrorism and drugs cultivation and distribution post-2014. Now, as we look ahead to the drawdown of the troops, we will have a continuing commitment from the UK to Afghanistan on counter-terrorism and on counter-narcotics. And I've been talking also about how the work being done here has developed and how we can use some of the learning experience in terms of dealing with drugs in the future.
It has been a struggle dealing with drugs. I mean, Helmand province, 49% of the drugs produced in Afghanistan come from here. Last figures show a 19% increase in poppy cultivation. It does show that the plans for dealing with narcotics aren't working.
Well, it is a very difficult issue to deal with, but we have been seeing some success in the UK in terms of the reduction in the number of heroin users. But 95% of the heroin on UK streets comes from Afghanistan, and we still see something like 800 deaths a year in the UK due to heroin, let alone all the criminality that is associated with it as well. So it is an important issue for us to deal with, and I've been talking here in Afghanistan about how we can continue to work with the Afghan government, with various branches of the Afghan government, to work here upstream to interdict drugs, to deal with drugs traffickers.